respected guests, dear colleagues and friends, welcome to the evening. Some of you know Professor Ahmad Rafique Akhtar, but most of you are not familiar with Professor Ahmad Rafique Akhtar. He belongs to Pakistan and has been a teacher and student of English literature for several years. I met him in May '95 and I am in meeting since then. My concern was not English literature, and he was not known for English literature even when he was teaching English literature. He represents the scholastic tradition lost from the religion. He believes that our main problem today is intellectual inferiority in our minds and an absolute confusion of priorities in the religion. Today, the blatant aggression of scientific thought, discovery and invention, accompanied by the paraphernalia of supersonic jets, atoms, neurons, and antimatter, has left no room for meditation and self-analysis. In the words of neuropsychologist and neurophysiologist Dr. Roger Perry, we are going through physiological transaction of our brain hemispheres. As a result of this bifurcation, the scientific thought went astray and subjective approaches developed confusion and chaos. The religion became a private matter, and faith was scared and shy of modern skepticism. I'm sure that this discourse this evening will bring the dichotomy into harmony, and those of you who are already in harmony will experience, inshallah, harmony of the harmony. And I would present to you Professor Ahmad Rafique Akhtar with one of my own poetic verse, though it is a different background today, that Roshni बांटूंगा सारे शहर में, रोशनी बांटूंगा सारे शहर में, चांद उतरा है मेरे घर दोस्तों. And you and Professor Ahmad Rafique Akhtar.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب أدخلني مدخل صدق وأخرجني مخرج صدق واجعل لي من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. खातिन हज़रात, बेहतर तो ये था कि मैं बहुत से लोगों को अपनी ही ज़ुबान में ख़िताब करता, और मेरे लिए उसमें फैसिलिटी भी बहुत थी, मगर महसूस होता कि हमारे यहाँ कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जो शायद उर्दू न समझते हों, तो उसके लिए I have to switch over to English language. Ladies and gentlemen, Islam never fears transition. Muslims do. One of the most important facts about Islam is that maybe the modern skepticism may not find our religion as modern, something compatible to our needs of the present time, but it's only because they have not properly gone through the text of the Quran. In the Quran, Allah makes one good claim, Okay, I have checked, balanced and poised every ayah of Quran for all the decades in the past and for all the decades to come. The major problem in the understanding of Quran is that we humans are locals. Maximum we are here for a century, for a few decades. And we are trying to understand God, who is there, who is the creator of the beginning of the universe and who has already documented the end of the universe. From our very close angle, from our very minor and little approach we have towards our religion, our armchair intellectuals try to reduce the image of God. And the basic fault in considering about God is, and the basic difference between sciences and religion is very obvious. Whereas the religion was never accepted in routine, and every community which came in the way considered God and religion as a personal property. The sciences had a different approach. From the days of Ptolemy to today, every scientist who comes later does recognize the services of the past. Even Einstein would believe Ptolemy was a great scientist, though he was very wrong. In the light of the modern studies, Ptolemy was never right. Copernicus was never right. They made major mistakes in the interpretation of the cosmos around them. But still, no scientist would degrade those bigger efforts which they made in their own time, which made the society run, which made the studies run. Unluckily, the same did not happen with the religion. The basic fault with the religion was the Jews restricted, they limited God to their own clan. With Jews it looks that Allah is only a grandfather of Jews and none else. That communal God doesn't seem to be holding good in this universal cosmos. Then came Christianity. They refused to accept the Jewish God. They created their own. They gave him a family, the children, most of them in those days. And again God was reduced, Allah was reduced to one clan, one family. This behavior of the people on earth gave rise to an interpretation of the anthropologists. And they believed that God is not a concept from beyond. It's not a concept from the high universe. It is a concept born on earth. And that's why one of the major anthropologists, Auguste Comte, said, if there would have not been a God, mankind would have created a God according to their necessities. Unluckily, both these big religions, again, when Islam came, they did not accept Islam. It was the first time in the history of religion that the Master of the Universe got his own recognition. And how? Through his own language, through Quran. It was not possible for humans to understand the concept of God with their limited knowledge. And the biggest mistake of a human mind is, and then again I repeat, biggest mistake of a human mind is that they raise a question for which the valid data is not available. Human minds did not have much of the data. So they objected to the concept of God, or rather created limited forms of God. And Allah in Quran felt very different. Maybe Allah is the name given by the Quran, but the people right from the first to the last, from Adam to Muhammad Rasulullah had a full, complete knowledge, vision, acceptance of this idea right from the days the Neolithic man started living in the four walls, when the rights of women and men were bifurcated by a close understanding between the two species. It was well known to the humans that human child cannot move immediately, that the human child cannot come up to their expectation like the animals. The animal child will be born and will be on its feet without any time. But it was not the true with the humans. Not only that the child could not survive without parents, not only that it could not earn its living, not only that it could not even exist properly without their parents, it required a lot of time. And this lot of time could only be maneuvered by the distribution of the services between men and women. And these services were that a woman would hold, protect, feed, milk her child within four walls, and the man would go out to search for food and the material support to their family. So the first walls were created. But if you go back and see that particular Homo sapiens sapien, you would find a very strange thing, that the first ever idea that crossed that basic initial human society was God, was spiritual. One cannot understand that suddenly how a Homo erectus or a Homo habilis could entertain the idea of spiritual heights. How would he be able to understand about the metaphysical realities up there in the skies? But it happened. And obviously anthropology makes a very serious mistake when they say the idea of God was born on earth, it didn't came from outside. The fact is that the initial man did not have enough intelligence, did not have enough intellect to conceive any metaphysical entity, reality outside their own sphere. So probably somebody, some alien master came from the skies and taught them how to read. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا ثُمَّ عَرَضَهُمْ عَلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ فَقَالَ أَنْبِئُونِي بِأَسْمَاءِ هَؤُلَاءِ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. This alien master taught them to begin life. This alien master sent messengers in the form of angels, in the form of prophets, and the first ever human known to religion and to the human society was Adam, peace be upon him. The prophet who brought the message, the prophet who was the favorite of Almighty Allah, who gave humanity, who gave religion, the first ever religion. And strange enough, a very complicated message came right on the first occasion, when the brother killed the brother, when the Cain killed Abel. The first ever message came was strangely connected with the topmost medical. It was a kind of, a lesson in humanity. The lesson which you still write on the top of all the major hospitals, that one who kills one man is like that who killed all the human beings, and the one who saves one life is equal to the one who saved all life. And this was the first ever message of God, which on the death of Abel, God sent to humans. And later on, when the human society kept on progressing, they were not able to learn. Today, the elders travel. The journey of the human civilization is like today, when a child is born and knows nothing. He has exactly the same capacity of a brain as the elder one, but still he doesn't become a Hafiz or a Rumi or an Einstein or Balsam. He doesn't become the same. Slowly and gradually, away from the chimpanzee who only had 350 cc of brain, the humans have a larger span, and nobody knows how. How did they gain? How are this Homo sapien gained suddenly that bigger quantity of the brain? Away. Well, Joran says And before I quote Wildor, I will quote Shaykh Muhyiddin ibn Arabi. God made humans and God made Adam and looked at him for 50,000 years. Then he condescended on the heart and the mind of man, and suddenly he was thinking. Wildor says perhaps the only last clue of the change between the animals and humans, between the family apes and the humans, and the way it became Homo sapien was very simple, that it lay down perhaps dormant in the last ice age, and suddenly a big flash of light came from outside. It fell on the brain of humans, and the quantity of brain increased. From 350 cc, it went up to 2000 cc. Well, even now, having a brain is something else, and exploiting a brain is something else. Slowly and gradually, the human civilization have been progressing, and Allah have been teaching. He has been throughout giving one or the other law, 2 or 3 laws, but He did not disclose the entire book of code of morality of existence on them till He found them able enough, till He found that now mankind, the human generation, is capable enough to take the message from 1 or 2 messages. Then it came to the songs of Solomon and the deeds of David, and then 10 commandments of the Moses, and finally it came to the Quran, the complete book. And Allah said, Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinukum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati. Not only that the message was complete, but Ni'mah was also complete. And the greatest ni'mat, the greatest blessing on God, earth, is a good teacher. It's not only the message, it's the teacher also. And the long line of the teachers, which was coming from the beginning, now came to the close, because mind did not need any more assistance from God. Allah expected that the humans now are capable of understanding the message, and they will be able to run their life routines and their future, because man had one quality which angels did not have. When compared together, Allah offered the same knowledge to the angels, and perhaps the answer will be very well understood by people today when they said, Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma allamtana. We are only fed by the data which we receive. We can only respond to the facts we are fed in. We do not have retention of the past. We don't have the assimilation of the present. We cannot decide about the future. And man had this all. So Allah gave him a big responsibility. And He told them, now it's up to you to use your mind, to use your intellect, to use your sense of inquiry. And unlucky, when we go to the biological existence of human beings, Allah made it very, very clear in His verses. هَلْ أَتَىٰ عَلَى الْإِنسَانِ حِينٌ مِّنَ الدَّهْرِ لَمْ يَكُنْ شَيْئًا مَّذْكُورًا. For centuries, for millenniums past in this, you remained on earth as if you were not mentionable at all. What were you? Nobody can imagine what God is mentioning. You were not important. You were nothing. You were not in this form even. Maybe a moss, an algae, which stood there by thousands and thousands of years and waited so that it could be changed. Then they say the first change came when this algae or this creature, whatever it was, bargained life for death. The eternity of the human life was changed, and they made a bargain that from now onward they were ready to accept death for life. And thus the procedure started. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. It was just a single cell. The beginning of the human life is of just a single cell. And then Allah said, okay, I wanted to promote, I wanted to enhance the capacity of this dead mass, this dormant being. He said, إِنَّا خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ أَمْشَاجٍ. Now I started creating humans out of double cells. Now it was no more a paramecia. It was no more amoeba. It was now, the life started being double cellular. But even after being double cellular, they were incapacitated. They were not able to know anything. They were not functioning as humans. So Allah wanted to promote this creature a little more. لَنَبْتَلِيهِ مَيْنِ چَاہا کِي آزماؤں. He said, I wanted to promote a little more. And he said, فَجَعَلْنَاهُ سَمِيًّا بَصِيرًا. Now I gave humans, basic function was of hearing, and after hearing, the more complicated systems of seeing. And still further, it was not able to understand the law of God or the message of God. And God knows, and perhaps a rough estimate says, it might have taken about, 80 crore years to promote this basic elemental human being to primates, the forefathers of humans. And he said, Inna hadayna sabila. Now the time came for judgment. The time came for a checkup. Now I wanted to know, how does this human behave? So inna hadayna sabila. I gave him intellect. I gave him the quality of understanding. I gave him the quality of retention, memory, inferences, and just gave him only one job to do. Allah is not concerned with the rest of the jobs we do. Allah is only concerned with one job which He gave to humans. Inna hadayna sabila imma shakirin wa imma kafur. I gave this capacity to learn, I gave this capacity to understand, I gave you this quality which made you superior from the rest of all earthly creatures, just one for one purpose. Either you admit that I am there, or you say I am not there. Either you deny me or you accept me. And this is not the job of the illiterate, this is not the job of the uneducated. This is not the job of somebody who tries to defunctionalize the sense of priority in human life. The top priority of the human intellect was supposed to be one and only one: to know God or to not to know God, to accept God or to deny God. And as a very great teacher, Allah is the first greatest possible teacher, who did not force a decision on this issue. He did not like to force you on this issue. He gave you the liberty to choose. And what about the rest of the life? What about the life itself? The jobs, the children, the honor, the respectability. The man is dying for those all things. زُيَّنَا لِلنَّاسِ حب الشهوات من النساء والبنين والقناطير المقنطرة من الذهب والفضة والخيل المسومة والأنعام والحرث. All this, what belongs to this earth, what belongs to your general life, is not concern of yours. Allah says, I made it possible for you, because without my managing things for you, you could not survive on earth. Before creating you, Allah says, I took 2 days to create this earth, to separate this earth from the skies, and 2 more to place all those necessary things for you which were needed till the day of judgment for any human being. So they are 4 days. And ladies and gentlemen, Allah's days are a little different. If the ثُمَّ اسْتَوَىٰ إِلَى السَّمَاءِ فَسَوَّاهُنَّ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ. And that I did in 2 more days, so there are 6 days. If you go up to the age of our constellation, these are 6 billion years. And if you go to our Earth's life, it is about 4.3 or 4 billion years. And it's very obvious that the measure of Allah's days, 1 day is equal to 1 billion years. But what is Allah's His own time is not known to anybody. And this relative time has been quoted too often in the Quran. The time which separates things from the things. Al-waqtu sayfun qatiyun. The time is a cutting sword. It separates truth from reality. It separates truth from lies. It separates child from the father. It separates things, it separates people, it separates situations, places. And God has fixed a moment of a time into a place. And this is called, why he's called Jabbar. He has placed a responsive placing and the moments of time together. If he had not placed so, I would not have been here. You would not have been here. We would not have been talking together. This is a very finer placing by God, Almighty Allah, so that He joins time into space, and this is only what He can do and nobody else can do. And again in the book He says, "Ma min da'abatin fil ardi illa 'ala Allahi rizquha." You don't earn. And if a man does claim that I am responsible for my life, who would speak for the rest of the 17 lakhs, at least 1.7 million other creatures, other species living along with us on this earth? Who manages for them? At least we don't. We don't. There's somebody who manages for the rest of the species also. And who can claim that I was born as independent I was? Who chose his father? Who chose his mother? Who chose his parents? Who chose his house? Who chose his sisters and brothers? That was not our job. It was given to us. It was a determined end in which we cannot interfere. We possibly can never interfere in this determined ends. We are forced to accept as we are. If the choices were given to human beings, maybe everybody would love to be born in Bill Gates' house, but it's not our choices. It's not our choice. And while we come to the end, retired in life, coming to the end of sounds, taste, sounds, ears, sounds, everything. Once again we are in the same kind of a condition. What Allah says, I get you back to the arzal state, to a state when you are not sufficiently efficient to run your own life, when you are not efficient enough to do anything. Now again you are dependent. For a little time in between, we conceive the ability lies with us to work our problems out. It lies with us to dictate our terms to life. Suni hikayat-e hasti to darmayan se suni, na ibtada ki khabar hai, na intaha ki khabar. That's our faith. And still we claim to be the masters, creative masters. Ladies and gentlemen, overall, if you look in details, you would find nothing belongs to us, because there is an alien master who causes all this interference right from the first breath to the last breath. It is him who tells you, I gave you the first breath. It is him who tells you, I gave you the last breath. If you read the book, he says, nothing belongs to you except the choice which I have meant for you right from the day I created you. You are not supposed to be here to think that you are masters of the word. I only created you to make decision, one simple decision, and the rest is all protocol and facilities given to you. Naturally, you could not adjust alone on this earth. Naturally, you could not find sources on this earth. Naturally, you could not create sources on this earth. So I manage it all for you. To the extent that he says, I am the one who gives you disease, and I am the one who gives you care. And a little further more, he says, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. If I don't will a thing, you can't even will a thought, you see. Strangely enough, these seems to be big claims, and I don't seem to be free. It's like a Damocles sword hanging on your head all the time. And before beginning the life, we have to make a major decision. Am I free? Am I not free? I have to make this decision before beginning the life. Am I free? Am I not free? If God is there, I am not free. If God is not there, I am free. I can think like a secular, like an atheist. But before beginning this attitude, before working on this thesis of denial, we have to be very, very sure about one thing, whether He is there or He is not there. Perhaps we make a major mistake. There are two questions, the self of God and the presence of God. We don't have enough data to discuss about the self of God. We don't know even the houses placed in our streets properly. We don't know the children and the number of the wives and husbands in our own street. How would we manage to create a data? How would we manage to build a data for this whole universe? A universe which we have not crossed the threshold even, you see. We have not crossed even the threshold of this first universe. Allah, more advanced than all the scientists on God's earth, they might be a little euphoric about these discoveries, intoxicated with their researches. But Allah is far more advanced. He has created the earth. He has finished the earth already. He has already إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا وَأَخْرَجَتِ الْأَرْضُ أَثْقَالَهَا وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا لَهَا يَوْمَئِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا. He has already finished this ayat by saying Al-Qariyatu Mal-Qariya وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا-الْقَارِيَةُ يَوْمَ يَكُونُ النَّاسُ كَالْفَرَاشِ الْمَبْثُوثِ وَتَكُونُ الْجِبَالُ كَالْعِهْنِ الْمَنْفُوشِ. He mentions very simple, they are very simple ayat. He says He's a creator. Quran is a book of creation, and science is a book of research. Even the best of the philosopher of the 20th century, Lord Bertrand Russell, said, we only know the relationship of things, we do not know the nature of things. Strangely enough, obviously, the faculty of creation lies with God, not with human beings. We are only discovering the relationship of things on this earth. So naturally, if He created the whole universe, He said it, He mentioned in His book, أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. How dare you deny me? How dare you deny me? أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَهُمَا. Don't you know in the beginning heavens and earth were one mass, then I forcibly tore them apart? And then he said, do you know how the life was created? وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. And I created all life out of water. Two simple ayat. And one leads to the origin of the universe. The other leads to the origin of life. Very simple. And sciences are very progressive. Maybe we have gone far off. Maybe we are proud of a lot of discoveries we have made right from the engine of George Stephenson. Can we deny? He's asking us to deny. أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. How dare you deny? Don't you know? I created this. I know the facts about this life and universe. You don't know this. And I've given you the end also. I'm telling you, I'm going to. put an end to all this creative process, because I have to do a lot more other things. I have other universes to take care of, other earths to take care of. Allahu allazi khalaqa sab'a samawati wa min al-ardi mislahun. It's not the only universe I have created. I have created 7 more universes. And in all those universes there is one life belt like your earth. 7 earths. Are they empty? They are barren? No. وَيَتَنَزُّلُ الْأَمْرُ بَيْنَهُنَّ. And I send my order to these earths. My behest is accepted on these earths also. So sciences are a little too slow to reach. We now have come to this option that there could be many universes. But we have not yet crossed the first universe. We are bamboozled, flabbergasted. We make laws about the universes and they prove to be wrong. From the general relativity, we have gone to the special relativity. From quantum to we have reached uncertainty, CAT-scan theories. Still we are at a bay to understand what could be the proper law to understand the different kinds of universe. We are just at a loss to understand. And this Allah, who gave you honor and respect, demands only one simple job from you. Would you be able to see the universe, look around you, find this, and maybe one day, with your own intellectual deciphering of the code of this universe, you may say, "Yeah, Allah, we know you are there. We accept you." And this is the standard for all people on God's earth. This is a general first standard of Jannah on earth. Prophet said to Abu Huraira, Muaz bin Jabal, Abu Sa'id Khudri, if somebody says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah right from the cause of heart, Allah has promised that the fires of the hell will not touch him at all. But do we say it? Again, once Prophet said, any young man whose eyes will be wet with one tear in my remembrance, I will forgive him and no fire will touch him. Just one tear. वो एक सजदा जिसे तू गिरा समझता है, 1000 सजदों से देता है आदमी को निजात. But do we really have that kind of a feeling, adherence to Allah? We cry for ourselves. We weep. We cry. But have we ever felt the same feeling for Almighty Allah? And there was a lot of denial on the human level, but not a single philosopher came out with one natural proposition. I could have believed. How would you and me believe in a God who restricts our sense of liberty? How would we believe in some God who wouldn't let us behave the way we are? With these all moral liberties around us, with all this emanated self-selection which we are finding in these days by the Western civilization, in the name of emancipation of women and men, we are absolutely anti any moral order. And strange enough, no human society has ever given a moral law. That's a very strange fact. Right from the beginning to today, no human society, no Greeks, no Romans, no prehistoric Assyro-Babylonian civilizations, they have given their wonders, but they have not given a single moral law. All moral laws are given to human beings by revelation, by God. And always men have been seeking the ways out, to run away, to act as a truant disposition, to run away from the laws of God. All this way, mankind has been trying to do away with the morality which was given to them by Allah and by prophets. And this is one of the major fault of all the democracies also. Ladies and gentlemen, morality is not a code. It's a code of the elite. It's a code of the literate. It's a thought of a philosopher. It's not the job of a common, humble man in the street to build moral laws. So when the vote, when the right of decision will go to the streets, when the right of the decision will go into a common man, illiterate man, uneducated man, they will always decide in favor of instincts. They will not favor morality. Naturally, if you see all the democracies has given one and the same approach to us, slowly and gradually, the general human beings are getting rid of all moral codes given to them by all religions, because they are not the elite, they are not the thinking mind. Only a thinker would make decision what is for the future. And the general people in the street is not concerned with the future thought. He's not a philosopher of the future. He's only concerned with the immediate. Similarly, we Muslims always try to find out. We are a little narcissistic. We love ourselves. We believe that we believe in God, and that God will always favor us. Before us, even the Jews thought the same. Christians thought the same. Everybody wants to become the favorite of God without following the dictums of God. This is what Jews said, and Allah says in the book, do they have any written thing from me? Have I written a document for them that whatever they do, I will always favor them? Have these Christians written for me? Any written form for me that I will always favor them, whatever they do? It doesn't matter. But Allah always says, if you follow me, if you follow what I am trying to tell you, I will be with you. अगर तुम पलट जाओगे तो मैं पलट जाऊंगा, तुम लौट आओगे तो मैं लौट आऊंगा. Luckily, this is the high time that we Muslims must consider. There is no fault with Islam. There is no fault with God. There is no fault with the Quran. It's a big fault with us. We are responsible for disrespect to God. Look at our life. Like Hindus, we believe in life's patterns. Hindu used to divide life in 4 patterns: Brahmacharya ashram, Grahastha ashram, Grab ashram, Rashimani ashram. He would divide life in 25 years. First we have to learn, then we have to earn, then we have to grab power, and in the last 25 years of life we will return to God, reality and truth. Who lives till 75 years? The tragedy of today is that we don't have that long an age, like 100 years age, to wait for our last era. After finishing up with the responsibilities of life, we will go to God. Muslims are exactly following the Hindu order of division of life. But Muslims' attitude was very different. The first and the foremost job of a Muslim was to believe that there is a God and to believe in truth, to believe in his kalima, the dialectical kalima which says that before believing that there is one God, you must refute, contradict the existence of any other God on earth. And we are just following the heritage which we got from our parents. Allah gives one big. Allah is giving one big, you say, sarcastic remark to all those who did not believe him. And he said, if you had a little reason, if you had tried to think, you would have done up with your forefathers' religion. You would have admitted, heard, listened, and known me. If it is true to Kafir, it is true to you also. Nobody has ever thought about him. Nobody has ever given any priority to Allah in even the Muslim society. We have just accepted a faith from our forefathers and we refuse to think deliberately. Do we think Allah likes blind faith? Not at all. He's almost cursing those people who believe in Him blindly. Inna sharad dawabi indallahi sumul bukmul lazina la yaqilun. The worst animal is that who does not think and who falls on my ayah without proper ponderation, without proper thinking, without proper considerations. And I am the one who likes argument. I am the one who likes knowledge. I am the one who likes people to think about me, because I rank people. I rank people not on the basis of their life patterns. I rank people on the basis of knowledgeability they have. وَنَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٌ مِّن نَشَاءٍ. To me, those people are better from the others. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. And every knowledgeable man is to be sure that there is another knowledgeable man above them. And if you don't proceed to knowledge, if you don't proceed to inquire, and if you remain blind faith, that I have to do nothing with you. To I grade human beings with the amount and quantity of knowledge they have, with the quality of knowledge they have. Because it's a law from God. لَيَحْلَكَ مَنْ هَلَكَ عَنْ بَيِّنَةٍ. The one who gets destroyed because of an argument. وَمَنْ هَيَّا عَنْ بَيِّنَةٍ وَمَنْ هَيَّا عَنْ بَيِّنَةٍ. Or jo zinda hua, and the one who learns, and the one who has an argument free, only he lives with me. Unluckily, we have stopped thinking about everything. We think about everything but not about God. We only consider Him as a part of our drawing room relationship. We only keep Quran on the top of our juzdans, and we don't bother to think, to ponder over the truth and the reality which we have. This is one of the major faults today. And he has written in his book, he has written a very clear promise in the book. وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. Don't slack in thinking about me. وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. And don't be bereaved because of the problems you face on earth. وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ. I promise by my honor that you will be given the most respect and you will be the most honorable people on earth. In kuntum mu'minin, if you have the true faith in me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today if we have fallen back, today if we are in the depressive circumstances, if we are being disgraced and dishonored, let's believe Allah is right. He is not doing anything wrong to us. Let's believe we are not mu'min. And why not? Because we have no concern. Our priorities are very different today. They give less importance to the top priority. We give more importance to the lesser priorities. This is the basic fault of the Muslim Ummah today. We are nationalist Muslims. We are bifurcated with language. We have so many other things to fall back. We are divided in small schools. We have religious bifurcations, but we don't believe in being Muslims. It's very difficult to find Muslims today who believe in God and only God, who call themselves Muslims and only Muslims. We try always to link ourselves with the small schools, with the categories Islam is divided in, and we have lost that one simple faith in religion. And we believe only, our belief only is a dogmatic rule. Unluckily, dogmatic continuation was another problem in Islam. Most of the movements which were born in the most agonizing time of Islam, were all dogmatic. They only believed in the external practices. Akhwan al-Muslimun, Jamaat Islami, Tahrik Nahdat al-Islam in Indonesia, Tahrik Muhammadiyah, and even now small movements in all over Islam, they all believe in only external religion. They believe the fault lies in not praying to God 5 times. They believe fault lies in not observing fast 30 days. And they perhaps have no such approaches towards God which really make a man real good intentional Muslim. When the Bukhari started his hadith and he gave the description of the part of the Prophet's acts, he said, believe me, these are only acts, and all acts are guided by your inner intention. Al-amalu bin-niyat. All the acts, external acts, are guided by your internal motives and intentions. Unluckily, the religion of intention was lost, and we only believed whatever externally we tried to do. And all the services, and may all those services be together. Do you think a man is still so honest and clean without an intention? Even the best our exercise and practices outside life. This is an over-exaggeration of the physical practice. Every Muslim knows he has to pray 5 times. Every Muslim knows he has to fast. Every Muslim knows whatever has been ordered in the Quran. But does he believe so? A man may be saying 5 times prayers, maybe fasting, maybe doing all human services. But do you know it? Or do I know it? He is doing it for his own self or for God. The basic difference between the dogmatic religion and the pragmatic religion and the religion of intention, both were bifurcated. People asserted in organizations. People made a lot of stress in building classes in religion and schools of thoughts, and they became very important. And the natural Islam was lost. The intentional Islam was lost. And nobody ever had the feeling. I don't mind if Jamaat Islami is working. I don't mind if Deobandi is working. I don't mind if Brelvi is working. Let them work. But I'm interested in one thing. Religion has only one purpose. The things have been changing from Adam to Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sharia has been changing from time to time. But one purpose of religion was one and the same throughout these centuries of human existence. It was an approach to God, a way to God. No other idea could take us to God. Inna dina indillahi al-Islam. I'm only available to you through Islam. وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ. If you come through any other way, I will not accept you. I can only accept you through Islam. He barred and banned the ways of all other schools of thought, religions, because they were immature ways. Islam was a complete religion. The message was complete. The Prophet was no more. So the only possible leading way to God was Islam. So Islam is not a choice. It's a choice of one person who wants to reach God. You have to decide once for all. Why are you adhering to a religion? Why are you looking for a God? The only purpose of religion is to reach God. And if you don't have any idea of reaching God, of loving God, of approaching God, then why religion at all? Just to practice? What is the difference between you and a Christian and a Jew? Every religion has its formal designs and practices. A Christian who goes to Mass and Vespers would always tell you, we have our ways of worshipping God. And Allah says the real ibadat is not what you are doing. It's for your own self. I'm not concerned with your namaz. It will give you benefit, not me. If you go for sadaqah or khairat, it will give you benefit, not me. I am only concerned with one thing, the niyat. Why are you doing it? For me or for anybody else? If you do it for me, I'll accept. If you love me, I'll accept. It's not out of fear, it's out of love. And Allah is not forcing any fear on anybody. Unluckily, the dogma, the customary religion has created a network of fear around us, and they would not let us reach or approach God with love and with grace. On the other hand, Allah has shown no such signs in the whole of the Quran. Allazina yashkurun Allah qiyamam wa qu'udan wa ala junubihim. My best people are those who in every way, in every pose, lying, standing, they remember me. Remembrance is a very important thing for God. Those who remember me, because it is voluntary. Namaz is not voluntary. It's an executive order. Reading the book is compulsory because it gives you the idea what is right, what is wrong. So Allah differentiates between the namaz, between Quran and between remembrance. In one ayah of the Quran, He gives all three in one ayah. Utlu ma uhiya ilayka min al-kitab. Try to know what I have written in the book. Try to know my orders. Try to know what is wrong, what is wrong. وَعَاقِمِ الصَّلَاةِ. And keep your namaz, you see, because it is going to inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. It will give you a refrain from denial. It will give you a refrain from all those, you see, lascivious things. But very important, most important, wala zikrullahi akbar. If you remember me, that is my personal relationship with you. Namaz is okay. It's my executive order. You have to do it. Everybody has to do it. And reciting the Quran is a good job, is a good recommendation. But zikr is a very different thing. Out of those customary routines, this is a speciality with me, because I want you to remember me as you remember your belongings, your beloved ones, the ones you love. And love's labor is very sweet. Then namaz won't be heavy on you. Nothing will be heavy on you, because love's labor is sweet. And you will go to namaz with love. You will fast with love. If you love me, فَاذْكُرُوا كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ. Remember me as you remember your past, as you remember your dynasties, your families, your people, your children, your mothers, your fathers, with love, with kindness. The reminiscences of the past always are very, very dear to a people. So remember me the way you remember your elders. Oh, ashadda zikra, a little more, so that I know that in your list of priorities of love, you love me more than anybody else. لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. And listen, oh people, you can't find my love. You can't find my love. If you have love for the lesser priorities, you can't find my love. If you make this decision that first I love my life, first I love my wife or husband, I love my children, I love my job, I love all other importances, and ultimately I come to God, then you have insulted me. You have insulted me. This is not the way people should love me. This is not the people should like me. I don't like this one. Then you are insulting me. No Prime Minister likes to sit on a peon's chair. I am the truth. I am the reality. I am the one who gave you all these things. And you want to place me below those things which I created? That you are reducing the Creator's place? And ladies and gentlemen, this approach may be called mysticism, but this approach is missing from Islam for the last 2-3 centuries. And this is the one thing which God is not condescending on the general Islamic order, because the people are only dogmatic and practical. They have no inner sense, no inner feeling for God. And وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. I've written this. If you remember me, and if you don't miss me, and if you are not grieved by the small troubles you face, I promise you will be the greatest on earth. If you remember, if you become the true lovers of God, things move on the side. Allah doesn't need armies. Allah doesn't need the earthly facts. He just sends one man, just one man. Oh Moses, I made a decision that I want to belittle this 300 years old Pharaoh's empire, and I am sending you to do this. And Moses said, oh God, I'm just one man. How can I overthrow? How can I destroy this big magnificent empire of the pharaohs? He said, don't you believe me? I am with you. Believe me, I am with you. And I'll do it for you if you really believe me. The greatest ambiguity in the Muslim heart today is that it's placing a lot of importance to things, to sources. Everybody comes to us, every dogmatic thinker comes to us, every pragmatic thinker comes to us and says, if we don't have these much guns, if we don't have these much things, how can we fight our enemy? Well, you are right, you cannot fight your enemy if God is not with you. If He is with you, you can fight. I remember the battle of Qatul Amara, when a small, simple man, Mahdi Sudan, fought one of the most fierce battles. The battlefield was Qatul Amara against General Gordon. And you know what historians say? The Darwish had only swords. They had nothing else. And they had only swords. And they used their technique. When the British army was right on the grounds and they had guns and they were equipped with the best, because they were the best in those times. So they say the Darwish appeared on the mountains and the sun was behind them. And the moment the sun rose, they splashed their swords before the sun. And that blazing splash came on the army, the British army down there. And they were blinded totally. They came down like fire and killed the entire army except one man. इसीलिए इकबाल ने लिखा, इसीलिए perhaps कि खाली शमशीरों से भी मुसलमान लड़ सकता है. But I think the idealism is not suited. If it's Allah who wishes you to grant you the power, the earthly resources, I just want to tell you one example of those big days when the armies of the Romans and the armies of the Syrians and the Iranians were clad from right head to foot, they were clad in armor. And that armor was not less than a tank today. And they had long swords, and the tiny thin Arabs could not reach them. In those days, what were the earthly conditions? Abu Musa Ashari ki riwayat hai, Raziyallahu ta'ala anhu said, we started for the war, the enemy was strong and big and well equipped, and we had one camel with us, and we were 7 people to ride it. And some of us, when one of us would ride, the other will walk on foot. We had only 2 swords, and about whatever else we could carry, we had. and the sand burnt, and our feet became burnt with the sand, and we could not walk properly even. And we tore our shirts and rounded around our feet, and that was how the army of Islam was marching against one of the very sure facts of history. Very well equipped army of the Syrians, army of the Roman Empire, and armies of the Julius Caesar of that day, and the army of the Iranian kings, Achaemenid kings, Sassanid kings, and that was the way they were going to fight them. But they were sure of one good fact: Allah was with them. So how do we believe? How much do we believe in truth? How much do we consider that we have cleared our instincts? How much do we believe that we have questioned our faith? How much do we believe that we have solved the enigma of truth and faith in our lives? And that's one way that we must question ourselves. Do we believe in religion, or do we believe in God? You are giving wrong, setting up wrong priority all over Islam. There are, Prophet said, there are three basic fundamentals of religion. Number one, you believe in God and only God. And you believe that there is no other God but God. And you believe in Prophet, and you love him more than your kith and kin, more than your sources, more than your jobs, more than your life. You love your Prophet. And the third thing is, the one who is Muslim hates to go back to a state of non-Islamic time, hates to go back to his kufr. The way somebody puts his hand in the hole of a snake. These are three fundamentals of Islam: absolute love of God on the top, and love of the Prophet above everything, and believing that he hates to become anything else but a Muslim. And once we accomplish these three fundamental orders of Islam, Islam, I told you, doesn't fear any transition. There's no problem with Islam. It's a problem with us. We are not adhering to the proper truth. We have to set our Qibla right. We are not worshipping things properly. Maybe if 1 billion Muslims do not reach God, I can admit, none have reached God. But if one reaches God, he will be a Muslim. We must understand this difference. We are not doing our proper job in religion. It's not a custom. It's not a totem or taboo. Religion is not a taboo. It's a part of thinking. It's a part of commitment. It's a part of truth. And we have to adhere it. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ.
Thank you very much for listening patiently. Now we are having a break for Asr prayer, and we'll meet again with your questions, and we welcome any kind of question. And if Professor can answer, he will. If not, he will tell you he doesn't know. Thank you very much. Break for prayer, please. Some of us has already said Asr prayer, but if someone has not, he can say Asr prayer. And after question and answer session, the dinner will be served. Thank you.
After that,